Longhorns, Baylor Bears. Bryce, you're gonna clean up on this. Trevor, once again, the Longhorns take the fourth quarter with the lead. Once again, they come off the field with a loss. What's the essence of this with the Longhorns? What is it? If you can battle three quarters and be on top, why can't you battle the fourth one and finish it out?
Something that a coach always would ask me at different levels of playing football, middle school, high school, you hear it the whole time you're growing up in the sports world is, hey, it's okay to make a mistake. Just don't make the same mistake twice. Or in this case, 3 times now, 4 times. You know that Steve Sarkisian is pulling that team together and saying, guys, look, we've put ourselves in a good position for 3 quarters, multiple times now, and we're not getting it done in the fourth. Let's not let that happen again. And it continues to happen. There's, like I've said, and y'all know how I feel about this. It is so much more than just a surface level problem down there in Austin. There's a lot more going on. There was a couple weeks ago, we sat on this show and talked about if Texas could come into the Cotton Bowl and beat OU. And yeah, it's all fun to talk about, but in reality, there was no shot for that. They don't have the foundation as a culture and as a team to really go through any sort of gauntlet and come out on the right side of that fine line. We saw it again this weekend. Hats off to Baylor. They're playing really good football, but you got to learn how to finish. And I think it goes way past just a surface level problem.
Hack, we're going to go to Bryce because this is his and he's going to go clean up. So we're going to start with you. What Trevor's saying to me reads one of 2 ways. Either this is a really like a problem at the core, or they're cutting their teeth for what's to come. Which is it?
Is that me or Bryce?
Yeah,
me?
No, this is you.
Yeah.
This is you.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Geez, my dog's coming over here. I think to answer your question, I think it's probably more of a core problem right now, but I think what they can do as a program is hang their hat on this moving forward, right? I don't think this is something that you can address right now. Where the season is, this is something that they're going to have to deal with because to me, as a football team and as a program within your locker room, you either have the ability to finish games or you don't. And Texas has proved that they don't have that ability. So that's not something that's fixed immediately. It's not something that's addressed during the bye week. That's not something that's addressed in season. That's shit that's addressed during the off season. How you guys handle and approach workouts, how you guys handle and approach spring ball, how you guys handle and approach that whole process. To me, that's where that kill, finish, step on the throat, nail in the coffin type mentality comes from. I don't know if it's not that it was developed or not, but that's where it is. So that's, for me, I hope that they're just cutting their teeth right now and being able to develop that for the coming years because that's where their mind should be. Finish strong and see what happens next year.
Hey, real quick, Bryce, we're coming right to you. You're going to take us out on this one. Molly from Santa Monica wants to know if you could show the dog.
Oh.
Yeah, try to lift that sucker.
Come here. Yeah, he's a big joker. Where you at, dude? Right there. There he is.
There he
Look
is.
at that wood floor.
What's
too.
up, bud? What's up, bud?
Hey.
Yeah. Old
Fresh
chocolate
out of the
lab.
swamps. Fresh out of the swamps.
That's
He was in
that
the Cedar
bamboo,
Swamps this
isn't it?
morning.
Hey,
Cedar Swamps this
that's
morning.
that bamboo, isn't it? That's bamboo, Hack. I
Man.
like that. My man went to Argentina on that one. Bryce Petty, there you go. First of all, Molly, thank you. I know Santa Monica, you guys don't turn up for a bit, but you're watching you and your girls. Thanks for the question. We're here for all that. I'm glad Christian was able to answer that. Bryce Petty, Dagan, talk to the producer. Can you put up the stat board for Baylor, Texas? Can we just look at the fallout? Bryce, there we go. This is yours. You see what happened. Even over there on the left side, the nation's #1 running back, 43 yards. I thought I just texted and asked, was it a misprint? Is it supposed to be 143? Bryce, it's yours. It's yours. Run with it.
I mean, you know, to the previous question that you asked, Hack, and even Trevor, I think it's bullshit, and I know that's harsh, but man, you're the University of Texas, man. You have how many kids do they have to interview to be like, man, like what team did you watch growing up when you were in Pee Wee football? What colors did you put on? Man, you always put on a Longhorn. I didn't, but I wasn't from here, right? Trevor talks about it all the time. He was a Longhorn. So what? I don't know if, like, you know, Coach Herman Boone needs to come out of you know, WC Whiteside or with Remember the Titans or what. But you have to know who you are, and you have to come together from a leadership. And they've had good guys, but I don't think that they've had guys that to truly understand grit and understand the tradition of what, you know, Texas was back in the day and where they are now. Because I think that if you had some of those old cats come in there, I mean, I'm talking like the dudes, you know, Earl Thomas and Sergio Kendall and I mean, hell, even if you go to Ricky Williams and Edward, like those guys would be so pissed off, I think, at if you asked them, hey man, if you gave up 3 games in the fourth quarter, what are you gonna say? Like, what are we even talking about, man? This is university. Those guys could slap an offer on the table of probably 95% of the country, and guys would be killing. Oh, guys would be killing to get down in Austin.
So Bryce, let me ask you this. Is that a recruiting situation that you're recruiting individuals that have no dog to them? Or is that a developmental deal because they are yours once they get to the building, feet on the planet of Texas? And you guys know you're around your football people all day, every day, off season, in season, like you're there. So if Mel Tucker and Michigan State can rev up in year 2, and none of us were walking around thinking about Michigan State and man, here they come, or every kid in the Midwest wants to go to Michigan State, because that's honestly, like, they're one of the schools kids would be happy to hear from, but they don't have the draw that the Longhorns have. So is that a recruiting thing that you're not identifying dogs? You're getting some talent, or is that a developmental thing that you're just not, whoever's at the helm, like bringing them along?
No, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. And I think it's just a sign of the times right now, because again, man, when you're 15, 16, beating your chest because you got offers doesn't mean jack to me. As a player in that locker room, that doesn't mean anything until you show what you can do on the field for the team that I'm playing for right now, whether that's Baylor or Texas, Penn State, Oklahoma, doesn't matter. Until you show up and win games for me, I don't care what you did in high school. And I think too often now kids are too caught up in this, the Twitter, the TikToks, and how cool I am in high school. That's what gets to the recruiting phase of that question. That now the development phase of that question is I go right back to Coach Bryles. I mean, Bryles set the tone for a blue chip. That thing was painted and coded about 3 or 4 times, you know, every week, that it does not matter who you are, where you came from, what you did last game. That stuff doesn't matter. This coming week, this next week, that's all that matters. And that's all we have is the name that you play for on the front and the name that you have on your back. And if you don't care about that name, if you don't care about the product that you put on the field, no one else does. And that's where I think that development comes from. It has to come from the top down. If you are losing games in the fourth quarter because of grit, if you're losing games in the fourth quarter because of just pure execution, you know, the execution phase, that's coaches and things like that, but just the grit of it. And when you watch this Longhorn team and throughout not only this season, but just the past seasons as well, no one's even fired up on the sideline that they're losing. I don't want to be sitting here being a couch quarterback on this podcast saying, I don't know what's going on in the locker room, but it just shows on the field that it just doesn't look like they even care that they're losing. It's just a weird deal.
Trevor Knight, let's go right off of what Bryce is saying. Bryce opened it up about culture. And I agree with him in some play, like it's certainly a culture thing, but I don't know if it's a broad brush across the board. We're also talking generationally with social media and et cetera. Trevor, Hack, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Michigan State, Ole Miss, Baylor, just off the top of my head, just as Bryce is talking. Would you guys consider those 5 programs, would you consider them blue collar or blue blood?
Absolutely blue collar. And I'll say this because my comments have all been bashing the Texas culture, which I'll continue to do until it turns around. But I am a believer in Steve Sarkisian. This is not, I'm sorry, it's just horrible. I am a believer in Steve Sarkisian. And to both of y'all's point, is it a development? Is it recruiting? Well, you can understand the dog in somebody when Steve Sarkisian or Jimbo Fisher or any of these coaches go and sit on the track and watch these guys work out as they're recruiting them. You can tell, how do they interact with their teammates in high school? How do they carry themselves? Are they actually, bending down and touching their toes during stretch, or are they walking around and they're too good to be there, right? Like, it's little things that you can pick up on doing that. And then also when you have a conversation with them, right? You sit in their living room and you talk to them. You can look in somebody's eye and know if they've got some dog in them. Sure, you're going to go out and get the best players, and it's your opportunity and it's your duty to develop those guys and get them to buy in. But for the most part, during the recruiting process, you should be able to tell if there's a guy with some dog in him. My whole point about the culture at Texas is that it goes beyond the players. These guys want to win football games, right? Like, they put on the pads every day. They don't want to go out there and not represent. That's a horrible, horrible feeling. Steve Sarkisian wants that team to win, right? They want it. I don't think they have a lack of want to. I think it goes much deeper into the past decade of boosters and fan base and just, scars that they're going to have to heal and put Band-Aids on and let those wounds heal so that they can finally get to that point like a Michigan State and say, hey, world's against us. Let's just put our head down and go to work. We don't have to worry about the Longhorn Network. We don't have to worry about all this money and this new stadium and all this extra noise. Let's focus on putting our hand in the dirt, lining up from the guy across from us, and being just a little bit better than he is, just a little bit tougher than he is, and finish on the right side of that fine line at the end of each one of these games.